Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
So you're going to spend that time working on your other business?
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. And working on the business as fires my soul.
Mm. So I always say I have no intention of ever retiring from this. Why would I?
Exactly.
I don't want to stop doing this ever. I might tone it down or I might evolve, but
yeah,
no, I'm never going to stop doing it.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's a really good place to say, so what is it then exactly that you do? Because I've heard hints about what you do. Heard you talking little bits about
It's
it.
been pivoting recently because my background's in probation. I worked in substance misuse and I worked for domestic, there were women's charities, but I worked with the domestic abuse recovery, so in their emotional recovery. And then I went on to train to be a hypnotherapist just after I cut contact with my mum. But for 25 years, I've also been doing spiritual development. So I joined a circle when I was 19 and discovered an ability to connect to spirit guides, particularly, not just mine, other people's, and to get messages that way. And then when I started doing hypnotherapy, spirit started getting involved.
Ooh,
which didn't surprise me. Well, because you're getting into a trance state, because even when you're doing hypnosis with somebody, you can go into a bit of a trance state, especially if you're really in it, you can go really deep. And spirit started showing me how I could use hypnotherapy to introduce people to their own guides. And then when I started doing that, it was also, they were then guiding where we were going for the healing, or being with their inner child when they needed that extra support, or being with them as they went through things, or being with them as we went through past life regressions. So, and then it was much more about, okay, now get to know yourself through the eyes of your spirit guides, because they know you better than anybody. And they look at you through such a lens of pure unconditional love, which most of my clients have not experienced from their mum or other people.
Yes.
So I specialise in mother wounds, but I work around all sorts of different toxic relationships. Sometimes it's grief as well. But a lot of the things that are coming up is low self-worth, low self-esteem. And when they start to see themselves through the lens of love from their spirit guides, everything changes. Everything.
That sounds incredible.
The only problem is getting people to pay me a decent wage for it. It's been a problem. So that's why I'm now pivoting to focusing on business women, not to like kind of say, I just want to be rich and I want to be what. I just think business women are ready to invest the time and effort and money in it. They're the ones who really see the impact of it, because it affects their business, but it affects everything. But because it also allows their business to thrive and be more aligned, they're much more willing to commit and do the work. So that's why I'm pivoting that way. Plus, I love working with business women. Most of us are quite neurodiverse or independent thinkers, heart-led business women. Love it. So that's why I'm kind of moving. And I've developed recently a kind of 6 archetypes of identities that I see come up. There's like survival identities that I see.
Tell me more about those.
So survival identities are, I see the fixer. You had to fix things to be safe in your family. I see the good daughter, had to be loyal. And you can also see that in the good person. Like, I'm not a good person if I charge too much. I'm not a good person if I hold boundaries with my clients. So I see that one a lot.
Sounds like guilt associated with that particular one then.
And guilt is when you're the good daughter, the way you survived was to actually just go with that, go with the guilt, let your empathy be used against you. You just tried to be everything your mum wanted you to be. And then there's the strong one. That's usually come from people who were made to grow up too fast. weren't given that emotional safety. And so to be vulnerable and to ask for help is really scary, really scary. So they're terrible at delegating. They'll do everything for everybody else, but not for themselves. I see that one a lot. The overgiver, I think, is probably the one I see the most. And that's if I just give that bit more, if I just be that bit more, maybe they'll love me, maybe they'll accept me. And it breaks your heart, but I see that one come up a lot. And I know I did that one too. That was a big one for me. There's the perfectionist. If I just do things right, I'll be safe. If I get things perfect. And there's a real need I see in these business women that I need to be the best. So they keep training and training and training. And they need to be... I used to see it in myself. If I go to training, I'd want the trainer to notice me because I'm special. I need to be special. And until, actually, it was when I had breast cancer a couple of years ago, I had a really deep hypnotherapy session. And it really came through. I don't need to be anything. I can just be and just enjoy it. It was a very powerful session.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah, my great-grandmother really came in very strong. She really did, because when she was young, I know I'm sidetracking a little bit, but when she was young, she really, she had lots of asthma issues. So she spent a lot of time in hospital. She couldn't run around and play like the other kids. So for her, just to be able to breathe was pure joy, And she really brought that energy of just be. That's more than enough.
How healing is that?
Oh, it was so beautiful. And she forward-paced me to seeing myself in future, sitting on panels, talking on stages with really incredible people who I think once upon a time I'd have gone, I need to be more to be here with them. And she was like, just be with them. Just enjoy the fact you're on the stage with them. So she taught me a lot. And the other archetype I see a lot is the invisible one. That's usually people, when they were young, had to walk on eggshells. They couldn't take up too much space. Quite often, people who've witnessed or been victim to violent or even sexual assaults, if you just stay quiet and they don't notice me, maybe I'll be safer. But that can come up in business around visibility. If I get too much visibility, if I'm seen too much on social media, my family, my friends will judge me, people will reject me. So they really struggle to show up. And I even noticed that one in myself. And my mum's mental health could be quite chaotic. So there would be times that I would be walking on eggshells, like, who am I dealing with today? And like with every child, to survive, you need your mum to love and accept you. It feels like survival. Yes. Because it is when you're young.
Of course it is.
If you're rejected or abandoned by your mum, you're not going to survive. But that doesn't go away. As we get older, that stays with you. And it's when I work with women around mother wounds, one of the first things is trying to help them see that you will survive being rejected by your mum. You are safe. And that's my job, I think, is to make people feel safe to feel their emotions, safe to open their hearts up, safe to connect with spirit and the love that brings through, safe to connect with their inner child and bring them all the love and safety that they can, safe to be who they are, not to be fixed, just to be.
Yeah.
And that's my job, is to bring the safety. And I think if you bring that to these incredible business women, the light they'll bring to the world is even more powerful, right? And that's what keeps me going.
Absolutely love that. They are incredible archetypes that all of us, surely, if we really think about it properly, can identify with being at least one of those. multiple probably.
Well,
And
I've actually developed a quiz. This is what I've been developing this last couple of weeks. There's a quiz, takes you through 6 questions for each archetype, and it kind of reveals, it's for business women, but it reveals where these archetypes are probably still showing up. Because a lot of us have done a lot of inner work.
yeah,
We've done it, but they can still be showing up. If you haven't really brought love to that part of you, that identity will hold on and it will come up, because when you run your own business, it triggers all your triggers, right?
yes, of course.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
So when your brain is stressed, it's going to go to those old identities that kept you safe. It's the old coping mechanism. So I see it as my job to help you feel safe enough to move out of your head and hearing those negative thoughts or ideas or perspectives and bring you back into the power and wisdom of your soul. And it's just like catching it.
Yeah.
It's not getting rid of it. It's not judging that part of you. They're all parts of you. They're all beautiful, but catching them and not letting them steer the boat anymore.
Absolutely. Because they aren't going to take you in a very conducive path, certainly for a businesswoman.
No.
And the people you were working with before, it's not going to help them to stay in that mindset
Doesn't
at all,
help
is it?
anyone.
They're never going to move on.
No. So I call that the soul shift. So what I take you through is stillness, just finding ways of being able to pause. It doesn't have to be deep meditation. It's literally catching and pausing. So you can then observe your feelings, observe your thoughts. Don't be absorbed by them. I always say to my clients, observe, don't be absorbed. Because once you can get that distance, the emotions soften. It stops steering the boat so much, so you observe it. And then you move on to understanding. Where's it come from? Why? And that's where the compassion has to really come in. There's reasons I'm being the invisible one. There's reasons I'm being the strong one. And really letting the love in. And that's when if I'm working in spiritual hypnosis or I'm coaching, I will invite spirit in. Like, bring the love in, guys. Like, really help them to see that. And then that helps you to start letting go. So that's soul. It's stillness, observe, understand, listen and let go. Because you can listen to that part of you. It's usually trying to tell you something. And that will enable it to then maybe shift and take on a new role, or just for it to soften. But you show it some appreciation as well. This is a very brilliant, clever part of yourself that stepped up to protect you when you needed it. Yes, it might be going a little bit crazy. Yes, to soften.
Yeah. Slightly distorted.
Yeah, but when it came for a good reason. So it's thank you. Thank you for protecting me, but I'm okay now. And then it's really listening to your soul, listening to your heart, your spirit guides, whatever that connection feels like for you. I often refer to it as like your inner divinity, that connection point with you to this universal energy. Connect with that and let that start to steer the boat. And I call that your soul sovereignty. Really start leading your business and your life from soul sovereignty.
You've got some incredible phrases built in there that are really resonating with me. They're really wonderful. And one word, a really simple word that you said about the softening. That word has popped up 3 or 4 times in the last week in ways that have really made me listen. And I'm at the point on my journey now where I can look at a word like that keeps coming and go, okay, then I'm listening.
Yeah, if it keeps coming up, pay attention.
Yeah, you know, what is it? What have I got to soften?
Because I think we've all got something to soften.
So, and I feel blessed that I'm at this point. There's still a long journey ahead. It's lifelong, in my opinion.
Oh, yes.
But I wouldn't have seen that 7 years ago.
You do have to be safe to see it. So, you know, there's a lot of people in the world at the minute going through horrendous things. A lot of communities not feeling safe. And so doing this kind of work would be impossible.
Yeah.
And it's not for them to do that work. And the messages I keep getting channeled through from Spirit is for those people who are safe, you have a duty to take the best care of yourself so you can put energy into the world that those who aren't safe can draw from. And so self-care, self-love, this self-development is the least selfish thing you can do. The world needs you at your best.
And I'd say now that if I don't, then I am being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I am keeping the best of me to me, even if it doesn't feel like I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, that's progression in my heart, in my soul, in my spirit. Yeah. Words that I wouldn't have used 7 years ago. 7 years ago was very...
Just talking about softening being a word that keeps coming up, the word that kept coming up, particularly over the last year, was the word cherished. Mm. And it was something, I had a client in hypnosis and she just connected with her spirit guide. And I just said, how do you feel? And she said, I feel cherished. And it hit me deep in the heart. It was just like, oh. And I realized it's because the word cherished means that you're safe, that you're seen, that you're heard, that you're loved and accepted without condition, that somebody knows how precious you are. And quite often if I'm doing a retreat or I'm doing group work, I'll get women to sit with the word cherished and just, how does it feel? And I find there's three main different responses. The first is, they're the ones who were cherished, particularly as children. Then you get the ones who are just like it's just so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. And they're usually the ones who had to be strong when they were young. And then there's the ones who just burst into tears because they've never really felt safe, And they're the ones often when I connect them with their spirit guides and angels and they feel that love come through, the tears flow because they've just not experienced that kind of love. I mean, I would say the kind of love you get through that is unlike anything else. But if you have been deeply cherished by your family, by somebody in your life, it's not such a shock. But for those who haven't, that's my job, is sometimes to rein spirit in a little bit and just, okay, this is too much. Let me just hold this space. Let's build them up to this.
Yeah, let them know you like them. Let's cherish is a bit further down the line.
Sometimes what I'll do, because I quite often work through the chakras, but for some, the heart chakra is so intense. So I work down from the crown down to the throat, and then I'll work from the feet up and get them used to the feelings, and just slowly we'll start to work on the heart. Because there is no point in the world me throwing people into the deep end. And Spirit have done that a few times, and I've been working with people, and I've learned now to really go, no. Like, you're wonderful, I adore you, but I'm the one in the human experience here, and I know this is too much. So let's just rein it in. So whilst I'm also the channeler, sometimes I'm also the one reining it.
Yeah, like a moderator.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, you mentioned you'd cut yourself off from your mum recently.
It was nearly 9 years ago now.
Was it? Not so recently then?
No.
Was that related to her mental health issues and your...
It was a long journey. I started taking care of her when I was 12 because she'd had mental health issues since she was young. I have suspicions around different neurodivergence, narcissism, personality disorders, but she wasn't diagnosed clearly with anything. But when I was 12, she got fibromyalgia and ME very, very severely. She was very poorly. And I became her full-time carer. So I would be emptying her commode, I'd be feeding her, helping her dress, helping her wash, keeping the house clean. But at the same time, obviously going through something like that and you've already got mental health issues, it's going to make it worse. So yes, I mean, trigger warning, I had to deal with her hitting herself around the head, cutting herself. She would share with me in detail sexual trauma. She would hurt herself in front of me. So whilst for many, many years, I thought the anxiety that I experienced over and over again throughout my life was because the physical load of doing all that.
Of course.
But after having my children, I went and got counselling because I was struggling to breastfeed and my mental health was all over the place. I was not parenting in the way I would be proud of. And at the same time, I was training in domestic abuse to support. I worked as a probation officer, worked in substance misuse, but now I was working with the survivors and it was helping them in their emotional recovery. So I was becoming a mum, I was training and I was getting support. And that's when things started to unveil. I started to see that actually what the problem had been was we were deeply enmeshed. She saw me as an extension of her. She would even offer my services to her friends when I was a teenager. Oh, wow. You need help, Bean will do it. And Bean's my family nickname. And even once I had children, she'd plan my free time for me. She just saw me as an extension of her. And obviously her sharing with me her suicidal ideations, I became her confidant. I started to parent her. I became responsible. Also, I really felt I was the one responsible for her well-being. She would have huge meltdowns and other people would try and support and help and she would push them away. She wanted me because I stroked her ego and agreed with her victimhood and backed it up because that kept me safe. That's what calmed her down.
You didn't know any better.
Well, exactly. No, absolutely, 100%. Far too much for any. My son's 12. I just would never allow anything like that to happen to him. But as I got older, you start wanting to have an identity of your own. So as I became a teenager, she saw me out drinking once, and that was it. I was a terrible drunk. I've never been a terrible. I'm just not a big fan of alcohol. And she would label me as a terrible carer because I'd forget to get her a drink, or friends would come over and we'd be laughing upstairs because I didn't involve her and bring her into it. I was a terrible person. So you can imagine the kind of pressure this puts on at an age where you're just trying to discover who you are. And at any point, if I disagreed with her perspective on things, especially if it was involving disputes within the family, I was knocked off my pedestal because she would put me on a pedestal and knock me off it regularly. And I discovered in more detail years later, really tell my grandparents things about me that they were very distorted. She would tell me that they didn't really want me or accept me. She really turned me against my own father, my aunt. And it took years to undo all that and really see what was happening. And it wasn't really until I had a very good counsellor. I'd had many before her, but she wouldn't just listen. She was much more challenging. It's like, why are you not furious with her? You should be furious. And that just knocked me, my whole world turned upside down when I suddenly realised maybe everything my mum's told me isn't actually true. And it really set my head on a spin.
I'm not surprised. That must have knocked you sideways.
And it took me a few years still before I cut contact after that. Training in domestic abuse really helped because one of the tools I used to use with the women, then they'd just come out of the relationship. They're still addicted to that trauma bond is very much like substance misuse. It's like an addiction. And they're still addicted to this person. They know causes them harm, but they still get these intense cravings and wanting to be with them. So I would take them through what we call the power and control wheel, which is going through all the different forms that abuse can take. And, financial isolation, manipulation, all these things. And 9 times out of 10, because what we would do is we'd have it on a big circle. and cut into segments where all the different kinds of abuse. And you'd colour it in just as they're talking to you, you'd colour it in and you'd show them. And 9 times out of 10, the whole thing's coloured in. Because they wouldn't even realise that sexual abuse is not just somebody sexually assaulting you. It's making you feel guilty for not having sex with them, making you watch porn you don't want to watch. You know, for me, it was my mum sharing with me details of sexual trauma when I was only 12. So as I was going through these, and I'm doing this with my clients, I'm starting to go, oh, my mum does this and my mum does that. But when it's your mum, there's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stigma, people, but she's your mum. And I experienced that from a very qualified counsellor who was training me around domestic abuse. I said, but I'm experiencing all that. Oh no, she's your mum, she loves you. And it took that, put me back a little bit. Luckily, I moved where I was working and I had my excellent counsellor and we worked through that. But it then came to a moment where I lost that job working, supporting women. It was a women's charity where things were just falling apart in the charity and I was one of the victims of the falling apart. So I lost the job and it broke my heart because I absolutely loved it. But I was also getting to the point of I can't keep working in all these places where the things just turn toxic. Probation was the same. So to use charities, it's just heartbreaking. And you're not given the space to do the actual work you want to do.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, I bet you do. So that's when I started to really think about I need to do something for myself. But it was at that point that I went back to my counsellor. I was very blessed. My father paid for me to go back because I certainly didn't have the money at the time. And she just said, okay, we know a lot of this. Yes, you've lost this job, but we know a lot of this is stemming from issues with your relationship. Because my relationship with my mum at that point was awful. Right. We were at loggerheads with each other. Whatever I did was never enough. And I was desperately trying to put boundaries in. My daughter was being diagnosed autistic. She was learning disabled, trying to get her education and support in place. My dog was dying. We lived with my mum. There was just a lot going. It was all piling up for me. And my counsellor just said, so what would life look like without her in it? Nobody had ever said that to me. Nobody.
Never presented as an option.
No. And she gave me permission. And at that point I went, no, I love her. I can't possibly do that. She said, okay, but you can't go on like this. You know, you need to put some boundaries in place. And Christmas was coming up. Now, I'd spent last Christmas with my mum, probably the one before, I can't remember. But my mother-in-law would come every other year. And she was coming that year. And she wasn't my mother's biggest fan. I don't think my mum was her biggest fan either. My mother-in-law was quite protective of me, but was also blunt. She was very blunt. And so I was thinking, well, I can't handle both these women at Christmas while I'm feeling like this. I can't do it. I just can't. I'm not in a place. Surely my mum will back down. And it was also the first Christmas my grandmother was going to be spending on her own, which is her mum. She lived in this beautiful flat within a retirement village, but she was going to be spending Christmas on her own. So I knew Mum had an option. I wasn't just throwing her to the wolves. But when I asked her not to spend Christmas, she screamed. And I mean screamed. And this is not uncommon for her, but she screamed at me. She thought it was a conspiracy. I was forcing her to spend Christmas in an old people's home, which is not where my grandmother lived anyway. But what was very clear was there was no hint of consideration for me and what I needed. No. And that my children needed a mum that was okay. Nope, not a hint of it.
None of it.
And that was it. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful because that just clicked then. I cannot heal while I'm in this relationship. It was like swimming in poison. I couldn't heal with that relationship in my life. I just couldn't. And so she made the decision for me there and then. And it sounds awful, but I text her. There's good reasons for this now, and I haven't done all of the work.
She'd have listened, would she, if you'd have verbalised it?
But the thing is, I see a lot of people wanting to write a letter. If you're dealing with a narcissistic personality type or somebody who's deeply emotionally immature, do not use a letter. They will use it against you. Never use a letter. So I just simply text her, I'm really sorry it's come to this, but I need you to stay away from me and my family. And then I blocked her on everything. Now, she could have turned up on my door. She could have written to me. I've not moved house, but she never has. She's never tried to get in touch, which hurts in some ways.
Yeah.
And I am deeply grateful for.
Yes.
In many ways too. But it was incredibly hard. It's not something like, if people come and work with me around mother wounds, I'm not just like, you need to cut contact. I would never do that. It's such a deeply personal thing. However, I haven't regretted it for a moment. There's not been a single moment. It was a real revelation to me when I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 years ago. It was a good couple of weeks in, and I suddenly turned to my husband and go, I haven't wanted her once. I didn't want
That's
her.
big.
Yeah, it was major. I didn't need my mum. I missed my grandmother. Because my grandmother, when I cut contact, she had my back. She even cut contact herself with her own daughter for a little while because she'd realised she'd been manipulated too. And we became incredibly close. And she passed. It always felt very self-centered of me, but I always felt like she passed once she knew I'd be okay. I think there was probably other concerns with other family members. I certainly wasn't the centre of her universe, but we were very close. And I remember as she was dying, she said to me, I'm going to help you with your work, aren't I? I'm going to be one of those guides. I was like, oh yeah. And she is.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, she is. But that's the thing that can make me emotional is her. But yeah, it's been a long journey. And even since then, there's been so much healing. Even in the last year when I broke my leg in 3 places and I'm having to use a wheelchair, I'm having to use crutches, and the sound of that Zimmer frame was the same sound as my mum's stick. And it just made me feel so sick. Even my husband, you could see him like, ugh. It was really bothering him because you don't realise how much, if you have a really difficult relationship with your mum, it affects everybody around you. It really affected my husband. Once I started to really see things clearly, he kept his mouth closed for years.
Wow.
He would be the one that when I came off the phone from her, exhausted and drained, he would catch me, but he would never criticise her. He just wouldn't, until that counsellor started to get through to me. She undid some of the spell. I always say I feels like I was under a spell. That's when he started to let rip. But he always said he regrets that he never got a chance to really let rip with her, bless him. But he stayed quiet for a long, long time. But you don't realise, the impact it has on them. And I certainly realise since cutting contact with my mum, I am a better mum myself. Definitely. I always say I managed to shift the good daughter out and the good mother came in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. You can't be a good, loyal daughter and be all your children need you because they have to be the centre of your world.
Absolutely.
And I became much better at that.
How lovely. What an incredible story.
It continues.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's not going to be over, is it?
No, it continues. Yeah, it really was. It was when breaking my leg was a biggie because there was a lot of compassion came in for her. Like, it's really hard when you're immobile and you have to ask for help for everything. And you get the just a minute.
Yeah.
I'm in pain. So, and I remember my mum having those frustrations and I had real deep empathy for her. But then there was also, but that didn't justify the way I was treated.
No.
So that took the healing even deeper, So yeah, the breast cancer, the leg break, which happened a week to the anniversary of my mastectomy. I was like, universe, what are you playing at?
Yes.
I was pretty angry for a couple of days. I was like, you kidding?
Yeah.
Because the mastectomy operation was a lot.
I'm going to say, so how did that all come about? Was that in relation to anything, do you think? Because often a physical illness...
I absolutely believe it's disease in the body. I believe most things have some emotional root cause. I got a lot of spiritual people when I got diagnosed telling me why I had breast cancer. I would never do that to anyone. Mm-hmm. You cannot tell somebody about their illness, condition. It's such a unique thing. But what I was shown by spirit, because mine was caught very early. It was DCMIS, so it was very, very early. Thank goodness, because I found I had overnight a massive lump come up on the other side.
Oh.
Huge. Like if I laid back, you could see it. It was huge. And so that meant I went and had both scanned, and
yes.
That's when they found the very, very, very early stage. But it was all over the breast, so I had to have the breast removed. When I say removed, it's like the inside of the breast.
It's almost like scooping it out, isn't it?
They almost, they scoop it out, and then they do almost like a massive tummy tuck, don't they?
Yes.
Cut all that away and use that to kind of fill your breast. It's an incredible operation.
It's amazing, isn't it? They basically take stuff from down there, put it up underneath your skin and form something similar as they can make it to a breast shape, and it retains its blood supply and its nerves.
It's incredible. I miss my nipple.
Yes.
I'm not going to deny. I miss my nipple. And I miss the sensation. And it still gets sore. It's nearly 2 years later and it's still sore. But I'm very blessed they were able to do that, because some people have to have implants and I didn't want that.
No.
The operation is a lot more complicated.
It is. I've anaesthetised for somebody who had that, but the flap came from her back.
Oh, yes, I've
round,
seen,
Then I've anaesthetised for that. So I know exactly what that operation's like.
Yeah, it's a lot.
From, a practitioner perspective, not from a personal experience.
Mine got infected as well. The stomach got infected. It was awful. It was an awful process. I had to go back into the hospital. I rang for an ambulance at 12. It arrived at 3.
Oh.
And this was after trying to ring the ward over the weekend saying, something's not right. And they're just going, well, what do you want us to do about it? I know.
Oh, sometimes I just feel the need to apologise for the medical profession.
You don't represent the whole NHS.
No, I know I don't. But when I hear things like that, I'm like, how are we failing people just so blatantly?
Well, I actually think I was sent home with the infection because everybody was so focused on the breast, nobody was checking my stomach. And it was hot and it should have been spotted.
Yes.
But so the guys who came with the ambulance, the paramedics were amazing. They always are, aren't they? And I was put in a temporary intermittent ward, where they don't know where to put you just yet.
Yes.
So I was there for hours, hours and hours. And I remember they put a cannula in, but they put it right near my little finger, really small vein with thick antibiotics.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You got an infection and an inflammation in your veins from that, maybe?
It blew up. It was excruciating. It was only 2 nights later that one of the nurses just went, I'm not doing this anymore. This is crazy. I was screaming in pain. So I was taken to a ward at 3 a.m. I think I finally was put in a bed, and it was basically a cupboard they'd turned into a room. I'm sure you've seen these. It had a X-ray thing on the wall. It was an orthopedics ward. It was full of elderly ladies who'd fallen over. I was shoved in this corner room under the stairs. It felt like there was no windows, no light, and people were only coming to see me if they absolutely had to. I was an inconvenience. Felt very much like that. Particularly the first night I went in, that was one of the hardest nights I've ever had because they didn't turn the lights off. I had bright lights on. They hadn't moved my bed. They didn't bring me any water. They didn't explain that I had to be nil by mouth. I was just left. No pain relief. And they kept coming in and doing this cannula, which is getting increasingly painful. And I just felt so alone.
I'm not surprised. That's terrible.
I have had a formal apology from the matron. She wasn't actually on. I just managed to hit 3 days and she was off. But yeah, I was not treated. At one point I had a surgeon come in to have a look at the wound, and he unwrapped it all and then said, I'll get a nurse to come and patch you back up. Because usually the doctors did it, but he just left me like that and never told anyone. Half an hour later, a nurse came in because I'm buzzing, and she went, oh my God. And this is an infected wound, just open. Yeah. It was not, it gave me a really deep fear of hospitals.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle being in dark rooms for a while. But one thing that breaking my leg did, it got rid of my fear of hospitals. I was treated so well and taken such good care of. I mean, it was excruciating. I've never known pain like it.
Yeah.
But
I take it you had to have surgery if you broke it in 3 places?
yeah, so I had, when I was first brought into the hospital, they gave you the ketamine to reset it, and I had one of the most bizarre hallucinations of my life. I didn't know what I was, never mind who or where.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was pixelated and grey, and I had no idea what I was at all. It was quite scary the first time.
Yeah.
And then when I came around, I was still in a lot of pain, and it turned out they'd set it wrong.
Oh.
So I had to have it done all
That
over
does
again.
happen.
Yeah. And it was funny, I'm waiting for them to reset it. I've got a guy in the bay next to me kicking off. He'd got into some fight, the police were with him. An old man's moaning on the other side, bless him. He's obviously in a lot of pain, and he's having a go at the old man. And the nurses are coming into me, and I'm like, good day. Like, so trained, bless them. But I'm in agony. They can't give me any more pain relief because they know they're going to inject ketamine soon. So can't give me pain relief. And I'm just tears rolling around my face. And then I'm like, I'm a hypnotherapist. What am I doing? And I just sat and put myself, it doesn't completely get rid of the pain. You can, but I didn't have the power to do that at that point. But I managed to get myself very still. I invited my guides in. My grandparents were right by my side. And then they put me under, and that time, the trip was completely different. It was organic. It was beautiful. It was euphoric. And I came out like I am a divine being floating. If that was the experience every time, it'd be amazing. But yes, so then I was kept in, and the next morning immediately went for surgery. So I had a couple of screws put in above my leg. I've got a rod right down. I keep calling myself the bionic woman now because I'm so made up of different things. But I've got an iron rod down my leg, and I have several screws in my ankle as well. And soon, hopefully, they're taking some of the screws out because they're still quite painful. But I'm hoping that's the last operation for a while.
Yes. Sounds like you've had your fill over the last few years.
I'm still making a decision whether to have my nipple reconstructed, because that's a possibility. But I know that can go wrong. So whether it's worth it. But tattooing the nipple's just not the same.
No.
It just looks flat. It's just, so yeah, I'm still deciding what to do about that.
That's something that my daughter wants to do. It's one of the reasons she became a tattoo artist. But she's given herself lots of years of experience.
Yeah.
So it's almost 3 years she's been doing it now. Just your, I don't want to call them ordinary tattoos. Her art and design is far from ordinary, but in the sense of non-aesthetic.
Yeah.
Tattoo, she's not doing that yet. She wants to be way more experienced. She wants to do women like you justice.
It's such a personal thing, and you want it to match. You want it to work. You want it to be level. It's such a complicated emotional thing.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for the women who go flat, and I know sometimes they haven't had a choice. Yeah. Sometimes implants they just haven't taken, and they haven't had a choice. And sometimes it is a much simpler operation. Recovery is much more, but the emotional, one thing I really experienced, which I think is something that it shouldn't be, is straight after the operation. I know if I was in the plastic surgery ward, I was in the high intensive care, and they were incredible. The staff in there are just incredible. I just loved every
HDU
single...
and ITU staff are completely different.
They're interested in you as a
amazing.
human being. Like, we were having deep spiritual conversations, and they knew, like, this will keep her distracted. They're not daft.
Oh, no.
And they were beautiful. Once I went down into the plastic surgery, I was just another number.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I going with that? My perimenopause brain has kicked in. Where was I going with that?
Where were you going with that? We'd moved from your nipple. That sounds really weird. But we'd moved from your nipple into...
I was saying how deeply personal it is.
Yeah. And then you started describing the care.
Yeah.
More personal care on ITU, HDU, which, by the way, I've worked a lot on HDU and ITUs before I stopped doing that when my brother got sick. Haven't worked on them since then. But I will completely agree with your sentiment that HDU and ITU nurses are a group apart.
They are. They're
I have
just phenomenal.
total respect for them. They are wonderful humans. And that doesn't mean I don't have that for the nurses on the ward. They have got a completely different patient ratio. They are pulled from pillar to post all day, every day. I didn't think you were trying to disrespect them.
No,
you were just
not
noticing
at all.
the difference.
I have so much respect for nurses.
But,
it's I think one of the things that wasn't quite right, though, that's where I was getting to. I know people who were taken care of in the breast cancer unit, which is amazing in St James's in Leeds. The staff there are just phenomenal. I wasn't taken care of there. I never got to experience it, even when I had my lymph node operation. I was like, I want to experience just being in that ward, because they're just such beautiful people. As I'm sure all nurses are, but that particular ward. Straight after the operation, I know if you're in that ward, they take really good care of you seeing your breast for the first time, because I know people who've been through it. Don't get that. I had people coming in every 30, and it's for good reason. They kept having to come and have a look, and just prodding to check everything's alive. I still think there is a human side to this, of you seeing your breast for the first time.
Yeah, because it's going to be different to what's been there all your life, all your adult life.
I mean, I have to say I was kind of pleasantly surprised, because he's done a very tidy job, and it just looks like a nipple cover.
Yeah.
It just looks like that. And I was like, oh, what I wasn't told was I would have a new belly button. Nobody had explained that to me. And nor did I realise how big the scar across my... I mean, it goes from hip to hip. Yeah. And I hadn't realised how big that was. And there was very little preparation for this operation. Whereas when I had the lymph nodes, I was sent a pack of information, like pages and pages. My cancer nurse took me through exactly what would happen in the operation. Before the operation, I got to sit with the most gorgeous surgeon, really lovely guy. And so there was all this care around that, and it was such a simple operation, really. When it came to this major operation, my cancer nurse had been off. She'd been ill, and this had happened a couple of times. Nobody tells you. You just don't hear anything. You hear nothing. Nobody covers for them. And whilst she'd been brilliant when she was there, and she was just not there.
Yeah.
So I'm building up to this massive operation for me emotionally.
It's a big operation as well.
And there's nobody there. Nobody took me through it. And in fact, I had to go and have a gynecology procedure done 3 days beforehand, because they'd found, when they did the scans to check the stomach was okay, they'd found an abnormality.
Oh, goodness
I
me.
know, you're just thinking, oh my
like,
God.
What else?
Yeah. So my husband at this point never let me go to the hospital on my own. So he came with me for this procedure, and I had fibroids cut away without pain relief. The pain, I nearly fainted. I didn't even faint when I broke my leg. I nearly fainted.
Stunned.
Well, and what shocks me is I have ulcerative colitis, so I have to have cameras inserted quite often. It's never done, ever, without gas and air or sedation.
Yeah.
And generally I opt for sedation. Why would you not?
Yeah.
That wasn't offered. They encourage you to take a bit of ibuprofen before you come. But by the time my thing was an hour late anyway, it wouldn't have even made a difference. it was horrendous. And the women were lovely, but I was then put, because it was taking me so long to recover, because I couldn't stand up.
I'm not surprised.
They had me sitting in the reception with just a blanket over my bare body from the waist down, with a biscuit, trying to get my sugar levels back up. And this was 3 days before my mastectomy. So my nervous system is shot.
Yeah, it's in overdrive.
Yeah. And the next day I have to go to the hospital to pick up those blood thinning injections, the really painful ones. And I went to go and get them from the chemist, and she said, has anybody shown you how to do these? I said, no. She said, that's not on. Somebody needs to show you how to do these. So I rang my plastic surgeon secretary, and she said, no. All the instructions are in the letter. The letter is 2 pages. It says, come to the hospital with a dressing gown, inject yourself here at this time. That was it. And she kept going, no, the instructions are there. So I was like, I've got ADHD, I can't read instructions. I mean, I do have ADHD, I can read instructions, but I was going to use it. And she said, fine. And she booked me in to see my surgeon like 2 days before the operation, and he took me through doing it. And he was lovely, he took me through it. But by this point, having to have this argument with her, I couldn't stop crying.
I'm not surprised.
I could not calm down. I got home and my husband's like, it's all right, breathe, just calm down. I said, no, I'm not calming down. I'm letting this out. If you're not comfortable with it, you can leave me, but I'm letting this out. And that was one of the biggest lessons I got through the breast cancer. Feel every feeling. Let it out. It's so important to just feel the feelings, because you will store it otherwise. And I didn't store any. I let them all out through that journey. Just like, and if it made other people uncomfortable, tough, I'm afraid. It had to come out.
Yeah.
I was very blessed that I have a hypnotherapy mentor, a guy called Steve Burgess, who is incredible. And he hasn't only helped me become a much better hypnotherapist, but he's also become a dear friend. And I messaged him after this procedure, just said I'm a mess. And on his day off, on a Sunday afternoon, he spent 3 hours with me, clearing it. And he put me, as soon as I was in hypnosis, I didn't have to go in very deep. Soon as it doesn't take, the minute Steve says to me, right, put yourself in that place, I'm gone. Because I've been doing it with him for so long. But immediately I went to a deeply traumatic past life experience in a Mayan village, being tortured by Catholic zealots, women particularly being tortured in it. I won't go into too much detail, but it was it was major. It was huge. These women being tortured for being themselves, just their culture. Catholic zealots didn't want them reproducing and wanted to punish them. And it was women doing it to women. It was an incredible experience. The way Steve works in hypnotherapy is he wants you to release all the emotions. So I'm crying and shouting and right now we're going to go through it again. Make sure it's cleared. Thanks, Steve. And it was the second time we went through it, the emotion does drop. It gets easier. And that's why he's doing it. He's trying to make sure all the emotion's gone. And when I went through it the second time, I was much more aware of this elder in the village. I was one of the leaders, which was why it was hurting me so much to see the women in my village being treated like this. But there was an elder right across, because we were all around a fire, right across from me, and she's trying to keep the attention off the young girls around her, and they ended up killing her. And I was just had to release my anger. And there was a real thing afterwards of me being really angry and wanting revenge, but we had to focus on healing the women in our village, and we did it through connection with nature and healing and the river and just sitting them in nature and being with them. Some went mad and didn't heal, but some did. And then years later, despite the damage they'd done to me in this torture, I had a daughter. And it was like the ultimate revenge. And the village, so I was the first one to have a child after this. And it was such a celebration. And what's beautiful that you can do in spiritual hypnosis is you can then meet, as you, that past life personality, let's say.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can. It's really beautiful. And she just said, you are part of our tribe now, and put flowers around my neck. Really beautiful. It can be some of the most beautiful experiences is sitting and getting the wisdom from that past life experience. You know, what do you want me to know in this life? Why have I come here? But I didn't just go through that. I also went through an assault on an ancestor of mine, and I went through another past life where I was producing an heir to a husband who didn't love me, and I died in birth, and everybody's just focused on the baby, and I was left to bleed out. And a gynecology procedure I'd had when I was much younger, I was taken to clear that as well. So I came out of this 3-hour deep session. I mean, it was incredible, so interesting. I mean, I'm quite able to be deep in hypnosis and still be very aware. We call this cerebral. We kind of, quite often happens with people who have ADHD. We're able to go deep into hypnosis, but also be very aware. So I can be analysing it whilst also doing it, which me and Steve find hilarious because I'm kind of talking to him as I'm going through it. So I find the whole thing deeply fascinating as well. But I came out of it, obviously, very, very tired.
Yes.
Went into my house because I was in my garden room. I went into my house and there's my husband, my son, and lots of male friends watching football. And I'm just like texting a friend going, I either need to be in a women's retreat or I need to start a women's revolution. She's like, I'm all for revolution. Let's go. But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. My nervous system calmed right back down. I went into that operation calm and happy. I didn't stay happy because obviously I got the infection, but I went into it as strong as I could possibly be.
I dread to think what the outcome would have been had you not have had Steve there to help you do some mental prep for the surgery.
I think hypnotherapy is one of the most underrated, incredible tools. But also having somebody who makes you feel so safe. You can't put a price on that. And it's something that my clients all say. The first thing they say to me is, you make me feel safe. They, quite often they'll come and I haven't cried for years, and it's because you feel safe. I mean, that's it. But to have that, to do hypnotherapy well, if the person doesn't feel safe, it's not going to work. No. I mean, I train myself up in clinical hypnotherapy to help my patients. Oh, pain relief, it's incredible.
But also for anxiety, coming into surgery, needle phobias, things like that. And I just use very simple techniques because I haven't got the time. I can't really build up a relationship with them. But sometimes they're simple,
the most powerful.
Some of the successes I've had have humbled me. I haven't got the time. I mean, I don't think hypnotherapy works on everybody anyway, but I certainly don't have the time. It's not within my experience, but I certainly don't have the time to build up a proper relationship.
I actually believe there's probably a form of hypnotherapy for everybody because there's conversational, there's, there's different, there's, solution focused, past life. There's lots of different approaches. Yeah. I don't generally work with fears and phobias. Mine is about the spiritual connection and the inner child healing. Yeah. Sometimes past life. So much, mine is very spiritual.
Yeah.
And I always joke sometimes that people don't actually realise how powerful hypnotherapy is. And I always joke, using it to stop smoking is like using Thor's hammer to knock a nail in the wall. It's an incredible tool that I think we're only on the precipice of what can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where I've had the successes, I've loved it. But,
And it's so gentle.
Yeah.
You really have to try hard to do any harm. You can do it badly, but
but it's, to do harm, I don't.
No, you have to really have a good go.
Yeah, which isn't going to happen, is it?
And no, and your subconscious is very protective of you.
Yes.
so much so sometimes it can send the hypnotherapist around in circles. Again, that's when the safety has to come in.
Yeah.
It's got to be key.
So your direction now then is business women.
It's not that I loved all the women I've worked with.
I'm sure.
I care deeply about people that I work. I'm very lucky as well. I attract the most incredible women. It's just now I have to get it to work financially for me.
Yeah.
And charge by the hour hypnotherapist. It's very, very hard to make a living doing that. Especially as hypnotherapy is still being really acknowledged. But I find business women are open to it. And I find a lot of business women are a lot more open to the spiritual as well. Because it triggers all your triggers, a lot of business women do the inner work.
Yeah.
And see the impact of it. So it's not that if somebody wasn't a business, I wouldn't work with them. It's not that at all. It's just I'm aiming that way. Also because when somebody's that invested and that ready and they've already done some work, the impact is so much more.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And I've worked with women who are already deeply spiritually connected and doing incredible work, but maybe haven't developed that deep connection with the spirit guide yet. And that's been really, I had a friend of mine I did a session with recently who's incredible, but she didn't have this connection to spirit guides. She just felt a connection to the universe and her intuition. She's incredible. But when I connected her with her main guide, she was just, you could see her shoulders go down. She was just like, oh my God, they have got my back no matter what. I just know it. And that's the cherished. Like, I know they've got my back. And that's what, if you know that you're cared about, taken care of, somebody's got your back, it changes everything.
Yeah, your risk appetite, everything's just going to be different, isn't it?
Yeah, you're much more able to allow yourself to be seen, to take the risks. You have to take risks for a business. Yeah, so it's moving in that direction. And, you know, to be blunt, it does allow you to charge, because I don't charge by the hour now. I charge for packages for transformation, for what's going to come, for what's possible. Because my time has become a lot more limited. I have to homeschool my child now because school has not been able to give him the safe environment that he needs. Not that feels safe to him. And so my energy is more precious, my time is more precious, and that's why I've had to move in this direction. But I still I run online circles once a month, and I have a membership called the Soul Sovereignty Collective, which has the most wonderful women in it. I do love them dearly. So there's still accessible ways to connect with this work. So I always want to have that. But if I'm going to do the deep work, you need that energy exchange.
Yeah, you do.
And I
want to make sure.
in.
Yeah, I want to make sure that all of those links will be in the show notes so that people know how to get hold of you and how to access the wonderful things that you're doing.
Yeah, I love it.
It shows.
I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I've deeply enjoyed this.
Me too. Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.